Good morning, Cycle Breaker. It's Friday, and while everybody else is easing into their weekend, I came with a morning interruption, a divine reminder for the one who's been carrying more than they can explain. This message isn't just about your bad habits or your negative cycles. It's not about surface level change. This is about what's been running in your bloodline, unchallenged, unnoticed, and unchecked. On Cycle Breaking Monday, we've launched a new series called It Didn't Start With You. And hear me, this series is not for the casual believer. It's for the ones who are ready to go deep, for the ones who've been bleeding silently, for the ones who've spent their whole life cleaning up messes they didn't even make. And now they're saying, this stops with me. Let me recap where we began. We opened by talking about Mephibosheth, the grandson of Saul, the son of Jonathan. He was just a child when trauma hit his household. His father and his grandfather were killed. While fleeing for their lives, the nurse picked him up in a panic and she dropped him. And from that very moment, his life was defined by what someone else did in fear. In fact, 2 Samuel 4, verse 4 says, he was 5 years old when his nurse picked him up and fled, but she dropped him and he became crippled in both his feet. Some of you have lived in that same exact dynamic. You didn't ask for what happened. You didn't choose to be dropped, but it's affected your walk ever since. We talked about how trauma that isn't healed, it gets handed down, and silence becomes a legacy. We've heard things like, we don't talk about it. Keep it to yourself. What happens in this house stays in this house. And shame becomes a language. Control becomes comfort, and fear becomes a familiar spirit. You didn't just inherit DNA. You inherited dysfunction. We called that out on Monday. We named it, we exposed it, and we declared that it will not define us. Because even though Mephibosheth was dropped, he was not disqualified. And when David called for him, he was living in Lodabar, a place of silence, no pasture, no voice. But grace remembered him. David asked, is there anyone left of the house of Saul that I may show kindness to him? In 2 Samuel 9:1. And just like that, he was invited back to the table. Crippled? Yes, but he was covered by covenant. You've got to understand that what you never confront, you unconsciously repeat. And worse, you unconsciously protect. You see, your nervous system will defend a cycle you hate if it thinks it keeps you safe. That's why some of us are stuck in patterns we didn't choose, but we've adapted to them like they're normal. We say things like, I have to be strong all the time. I don't talk about my feelings. I'm not safe unless I'm in control. Listen, that's not personality, that's programming. But guess what? We're not just praying about it, we're breaking it. And this series is your opportunity to do just that. Coming this Monday, we're talking about bloodline battles and birthright blessings. That's right, this Monday at 6:30 p.m., we're stepping into week 2 of this series, It Didn't Start With You. We're going to talk about the battles you inherited, the ones that didn't start with you, but sure feel like they're yours to fight. And we'll expose how the enemy has tried to block your blessings by binding your bloodline. But we're not just fighting, we're reclaiming, because the promise on your life didn't die in the last generation. It's being reactivated in you. So if you missed last Monday, listen, do yourself a favor and go watch the replay. Don't go into next week blind to the blueprint. You need to hear what was taught. You need to feel what was broken. You need to step into what was released. And then I want you to join me this Monday at 6:30 p.m. Bring a notebook, bring your story, bring your family if you can, because this is the series that shifts everything. It didn't start with you, but it can end with you. And a new legacy, that starts now. So let's go, Cycle Breakers, and I pray to see you on Monday. But until then, This is Pastor C, your breakthrough transformational coach, your sister and your friend. And I want you to have a very blessed and empowered weekend. God bless.